I would like to add my congratulations to each of you as new graduates and to your families. This is a special time for you. It's been my pleasure to get to know some of you better than others because of classes and courses that we've done together, but you are very special and a very special group for me. You have just accomplished a huge goal in a series of many, and you have certainly taken a goal-laden path that led you to this point. So we know that you are good at moving from goal to goal and that you can achieve the goals that you set. Those are good qualities. But you may wonder a bit now that you are about to get past this weekend what your next goal should be. How do you see it? Or should you not worry about it and coast for a while? Try to get through NCLEX, try to get your personal life back together. It's kind of worthy. I've thought quite a bit over the last couple of weeks about how I could help you with this. And I even asked one of my daughters, who is a nurse, what advice she thought I should give to you. She was pretty concrete, I have to be honest, and maybe it was because we were at the ballpark when I asked her, but she said, well, tell them the things no one else will tell them. And I said, well, what do you mean? She said, tell them to enjoy your remaining weekends off, because once you start your job, you will never be off when your friends are. Enjoy sleeping at night. It will soon be traded for night shifts on the job. Celebrate this Memorial Day and 4th of July holidays. It may be a long while before you see them again. Learn the joys of eating popcorn and other unhealthy foods at 4 a.m. to keep yourself awake. And find a gym that is open 24/7. That way you can go to work out at midnight to keep tricking your circadian rhythm into believing that you really are supposed to be awake then. So are those your goals? Well, no, I hope not. But there may be days or nights when you may be tempted to set your next goal based upon finding a role that does not require weekends, lets you have holidays off, or that puts more cash in your pocket, or a new refrigerator in the kitchen. But seriously, each of you probably did not choose this path for the hours that you would get to work or the holidays that you might miss. You most likely had other better options after you earned your first degrees. So presuming that the idea of nursing tugged at your soul in some way or other, how do you capitulate and capitalize on that passion, that need to do something that you might actually love and to make a difference for someone besides yourself? So as new grads, you in this cohort are particularly special in many ways, not only as graduates of this program, but personally because of the unique knowledge and experience that you have brought to nursing. Something about that first career path you chose might actually be connected to your new profession. And if nothing else, you can add the language of that first degree to your new language of healthcare and nursing. Now that you are multilingual in a way that no one else is, don't ignore it, integrate it. Make lemonade out of it. Make it part of your legacy and your nurse story. So I am suggesting that you not look for goals right now, but that you look to how you're going to build your own legacy. A legacy is different than a goal. It is looking at the future 20, 30, or 40 years from now and saying, this is what I have become. Now how am I going to get there? A legacy is what you leave in your wake, consciously or unconsciously. And a legacy is a footprint that shows the mark you have left on your profession and those you have touched, physically, emotionally, or mentally. Goals are how you get your legacy fulfilled, but determining who and what you want your contribution to be, that is a different thing altogether. So nurses in Florence Nightingale's time left amazing legacies that guide us even today. They allow us to be influential in improving healthcare, quality being one example. They did what was important for them, what was necessary to heal and comfort and improve the plight of their patients. Nurses during World War II left an incredible legacy that included saving many lives, even some that may have contributed to your being here today. Nurses who served overseas during Vietnam, during Desert Storm, built incredible nurse stories of never giving up despite the adverse conditions. And nurses created their stories during Hurricane Katrina, during Hurricane Sandy. Even as students, you have taken medical missions to Haiti or Ecuador, or perhaps there are other such destinations in your future. You have begun to build those legacies and those nurse stories, those amazing contributions to something that's far bigger than yourselves. I'm asking you to do this, to build your legacy consciously. What is it that I want to contribute? How can I do that regardless of the population I serve, or the time of day or of the week in which I do it? Then think about the goal. What is the most direct path that keeps you there? It does not require national or global disasters or wars to build your stories or your legacies. And in fact, the stories we build every day become extremely meaningful to those we touch. What is your footprint if you were to look down from 20,000 feet? Would it be that someone would say, you always sought to first understand that person in your care and what they wanted before you suggested a plan of action? Or that you never left a person in your care without also asking about their emotional and psychological needs? Or that you were known for your compassionate care to any parent during and after the loss of a child? Or that you were a relentless advocate on the behalf of every person you treated? So the next few weeks and months will challenge everything you thought you knew about yourself. Because you will be out of your comfort zone, you will be stressed by the whirlwind of changing work hours and high expectations by others. Will you be surprised at how you react when you are tired or behind in your plan for the day or for the night? What better time to think than now about what is most important to you, so those are the things you can keep precious. Who do you want to say that you are? What will you be to those that you serve? How will your own beliefs, your values, and your preferences impact your vision of you as a nurse, as a colleague, as a partner on the team, as a guest in the lives of your patients? Be ethical, be honest, be reflective. Change those things that you do not like about yourself and your care for persons. Only you can do that. And strengthen those aspects of yourself that you see that make you better at building the legacy you want to leave behind. Incorporate all that you do into making yourself a better representative of your profession. And if you find yourself doing something that does not allow you to express yourself and your passion, figure out how to turn it from a lemon into lemonade. So I have a confession. I did not like my first job as a nurse. I liked my head nurse quite a lot, actually. I enjoyed those that I worked with. I even liked the physicians and the others on the team. I liked the institution, and I even liked most of my patients. But it was not feeding my passion, because you see, my passion was children, and it still is one of them. And my first job was on a cardiovascular surgical ICU and step-down unit, back in the days when open-heart surgery to replace coronary arteries was really quite a new thing. And we actually had children on the unit who were having surgery to repair cardiac defects, which they had had since birth, which is why I thought this was a pretty good fit for me. But what I discovered was that I had a pit in my stomach every day when I went to work. I dreaded it. In retrospect, some of it was that I'm not a repetitive task kind of person, something I hadn't really figured out till then. And 15-minute vital signs was not my thing. And despite what could be so repetitive, at the same time, I had to have an elevated level of adrenaline flowing because one could seldom predict when a patient would start to deteriorate. Or we might provide 15-minute care to a person for 8 hours to then have them code and be unable to save them. And I knew in my gut that although we gave great physical care and critical care, that we were not doing some of the right things for some of their other needs. And we were not doing the best things for children. Ultimately, I had a 13-year-old patient named Patrick who had severe cardiac defects. He had surgery. He went back to surgery. He developed severe post-op complications, but who was lucid and interacting with us every step of the way. Patrick and his parents and I, along with one or two of the other nurses, bonded. Patrick required extreme measures on several occasions during his 5 months on the unit, typically every holiday. So, parents would go home to celebrate holiday with their son, their other son. He would crash. He was often isolated because of the infections he had. He spent nearly all of that time on a ventilator, at a day and time when ventilator-dependent children did not have homegoing options. The surgeons wanted to give up and admit they could not get him off the ventilator. Well, I think it was the will of the nurses, Patrick himself, and his parents that kept them trying to figure out why he did not get better. Several months into this, they discovered his surgical repair was at fault. They repeated the surgery, and this time, with many weeks of effort, Patrick got better, although not in time for Christmas, much to his dismay. At some point, the head nurse and the staff accepted that the best care for Patrick was to let those of us who cared most to do that, appreciating that he was not well served by having a different nurse most days of the week. A lot of us learned a lot from working with Patrick and his parents. What that taught me about myself in the short run was that I needed to be where I could figure out how to make care better for children. My head nurse allowed me to transfer to peds. I went back to grad school. I did my master's work with children having cardiac catheterizations, including children who ultimately had surgery and recovered back on my old unit. Patrick lived to be 30 years old, and we agreed he must have been a feline in another life because he certainly used up at least 9 lives during the time that we knew him. Patrick lived as he died, fully in the moment, and his parents and his brother, who also became a nurse, appreciated everything that was given to them. Ironically, at a 35-year reunion of the nurses of that unit a few years ago, when I walked in to the room, someone said, "I remember you. You were Patrick's nurse." So we did not think about legacies when we were 22, but we certainly were creating them. And we gain much from our investment in believing the worth of every person we care for. So what paths will you choose? How will you decide? As a nurse, who do you really want to be? Be true to your passion in selecting your positions and in integrating your experiences, difficult or not, and in weaving your nursing story, your legacy that you will leave for those nurses, patients, and families you touch and who come after you. Thank you.